Round 7, New Zealand Warriors family. It's us up against the dirty old Broncos. Go Media Stadium, finally back home at the whare. Is that going to be enough for us to get the boys over the line? I hope it is. It's a must-win game, but I've got to be honest, I'm not overly confident with the lineups. But let's take a quick look how the two teams match up. We'll go through a couple of stats and then we'll compare the lineups. The Warriors in 7th, still sitting up there in the top 8 with the Broncos in 3rd. At the start of the season, everyone thought they were clear favourites to be top 2, but they've had a few ups and downs along the way. They've had 4 wins, we've had 3 so far. They haven't had the bye though. Currently our points differential sitting on -20, they're plus 56. That's a difference of 76 points in just 7 rounds. Bearing in mind they've played one more game than us, it's still not ideal. 31 tries and 35 line breaks to them to just 18 tries and 16 line breaks for us. Our attack is really struggling to sink at times. Theirs is electric. It's going to be an absolute mission for us to control all those line breaks. They had 213 tackle breaks and 61 offloads. Half of those are probably coming from Payne Haas by himself, but that's something we've always struggled with against the Broncos, is the speed and power of their forwards. They break the first tackle. They're really awkward to tie that ball up. They get the offloads going. That second phase play kills us every time. We saw that against the Storms last week. I hope we've come up with a way to stop it this week, but without James Fisher-Harris, it's going to be an absolute nightmare, guys. I really hope we can do something special in the middle. Into a couple of areas that we are doing better at. And the overall meters, 8,841 for us, 9,521 for them. Bearing in mind they've played one more game, so we're pretty much similar in meters gained there. And the same with post-contact meters, 3,001 for us from our 5 games, 3,109 for them for their 6 games. On average, we're quite similar per game. Errors is something we're doing way better in 2025. We're still right down the bottom of the comp when it comes to errors made. Only 45 from us, but 65 from them. In some ways, that's a great positive. It gives us a lot of opportunities, but it also means they're throwing that ball around. They're going to be helter-skelter and going to be a nightmare to contain. Penalties conceded, only 19 for us versus 36 for them. So if they can give away a lot of penalties again this week, that'll give us a lot of good field position. But are we going to be good enough to capitalise on that field position? We certainly haven't been able to a lot this season. We've wasted so many opportunities in the red zone. We won't be able to afford to do this week because they're going to pile on tries, and if we can't get them to, shit could get ugly very quickly. Missed tackles is another area of opportunity for us. 166 missed tackles. Of those, 30 coming from Kurt Capewell alone. So across the board, we're actually really good on the missed tackles. They've had 204. I'll go through this a little bit when we look at the matchups in a moment. But man for man, particularly in their backline, they're missing a lot of tackles compared to what we are. So that's an opportunity for us. When they miss those tackles, are we able to get that second phase play going and really capitalise on it? Only time will tell, guys. I still have my questions as to whether this will be how we line up on the weekend, but one tell is usually the way the Warriors train in their last contact session before the weekend. The guys in blue are usually the guys who are starting. The guys in white are the interchange and reserve players. This week I was hoping Tamati would go into fullback. We'd see Tane drop to the wing, Adam back into the centres and Capewell back into the forwards. But unfortunately, during that training session, Tamati was wearing white, which gives the indication he is actually playing on the bench. Maybe Webby knows there are crazy guys like me out there who are so detailed looking at that, so it's a further layer to the smoke screen, but I wouldn't imagine so. Are they genuinely going to start Kurt Capewell at left centre? Damn, that's a bit of a red flag for me. But at this stage, it's Tane Tuopiki at the back up against Reece Walsh. When you think about this, you're going to be panicked and thinking Reece Walsh is going to be an absolute nightmare for us, particularly going down our left-hand side. But he's only had 1 line break this year. He's in a bit of a funk. He's dropping a lot of high balls. With 15 errors and 14 handling errors, I think he can be a real good target for us. It's a shame Tanner Boyd's not playing with that massive floating bomb of his. We're going to put a lot of pressure on him and contest the kicks a lot more. When he gets under pressure, when they're on the back foot, he does tend to do some silly stuff. So he will offer us opportunities, but at the same time, if we give him a bit of space, he's going to carve us up. Like I said when we were talking about the stats though, they've had about twice as many missed tackles as us in the backs, so they've definitely got a miss in them. As much as defense really worries me with Kurt Capewell there, we're going to have a very large and very strong left edge when it comes to attack with Lecker, Capewell and Adam Pompey. Hopefully we can use that size to our advantage, put guys through holes, and maybe we can finally start to break that line when we're right up in the red zone. We shall see. When it comes to the backs though, I think the clear advantage goes to them in the halves. Reynolds and Hunt, 2 of the most experienced halves in the whole comp. We both know they've got 40-20s in. They're very creative. They're great under pressure. Whereas we've got a couple of young fellas in CHT and Luke Metcalf. We're still working on building their combination together. Still learning to run a game. So for me, it's the Broncos halves experience and the speed out wide That's going to give them the advantage. For us, the slight edge comes in tackle efficiency and lack of errors. Hopefully we play a bit of a boring game but shut them down and just manage to scrape home and get a couple more tries than them. In the forwards, this is going to be a massive challenge for us up against Payne, Haas and Carrigan with no James Fisher-Harris. It's going to be an absolute nightmare to try and tie up that ball. Jackson Ford's an absolute beast on defence, but he isn't the biggest body in the world. It's going to be really hard for him to get his arms around Payne Haas and try and tie up that ball and eliminate his offloads. I think Mitch Barnett's going to take up this opportunity to really stamp his authority on the game. I feel like he's going to put his hand up here and have one of his best games of the season, but will it be enough? When it comes to the back rows, I think it's a pretty even battle here. Really excited to see Leka starting. What can he do with the extra minutes? Hopefully he can play 80. Hopefully he's got that motor in him. Hopefully he can use the power, the speed and that step to expose the poor defence in the Broncos. We shall see. I'm pretty excited by our bench. We've got the big body and Bunty to come on and help us tie up the middle. And then we finally see Jacob Laban get his first chance of 2025. He'll be chapping at the bit to try and get in here and cement himself onto the bench or even a starting spot in the coming weeks. Dimitri Vaimunga coming off a bit of a rough game last week from an era perspective, but he did show us physicality and we're really going to need that. We're going to need his offloads this week to try and counter the Broncos. And then Tamari Martin, finally back into the mix. It seems very unusual to have him at 17. Will he even get much time? I hope he does. Like I've said so many times, I hope this is all just a smokescreen and he does start at fullback. I think that gives us some genuine attacking options. We shall see, guys. This is yet another game where I think we're more than capable of winning. I think we can win, but I'm not overly confident we will. The Broncos will have got smashed last week off the back of that loss to the Roosters. They'll be hurting. They'll be ready to fire. They got a couple of key guys back in like Ricky. They're pretty much at full strength. Man, I definitely wouldn't be betting your left nut on it. Up the mighty New Zealand Warriors. Let me know your thoughts. What's your score prediction and how can we get it done?